So in this video, I want to share a bit about one of the really wonderful ground rules or guidelines that is part of uh, the wellness community that I recently joined, and that is reach in when you tweak out. I'm excited about this one in particular because it's definitely something that as I've been thinking about one of the core values in my practice, both when I hold space for a group and with individual relationships, is creating a sense of secure attachment and a sense of therapeutic safety, which is applicable professionally, but also personally. And so it really is across the board, just with different roles. But the thing that is the same is a secure attachment way of relating, which really creates nervous system safety. And when when we are dysregulated and we have insecure attachment, reaching out can feel scary, or it can feel scary in the sense that either we feel too vulnerable to do it because we're carrying too much shame, or it can feel scary in the sense that we're doing it a lot and we don't really trust that we're going to be adequately responded to. And so we're kind of like overcompensating by reaching out almost too much. And you might recognize these as the avoidant and the anxious attachment types that are often discussed in attachment literature or circles. But the interesting thing is the underlying challenge for both of them is a sense of mistrust or a sense of um, other people not really being reliable. And this is a really unfortunate experience because, and I know this from personal experience and having to do a lot, probably of like all the things that I've had to heal, this has been like the core. Because again, it's not your fault. I did say that earlier in this video, but I say that a lot in a lot of videos because it's the first foundational principle of actually healing from trauma of any kind is to understand that yes, even though we are going to take responsibility to shift a pattern, we are not ultimately like to blame. And I would also say it's not necessary to blame other people either. It's not necessary to blame at all. It might be tempting to, and sometimes there's some healthy fight in there that is part of the process of gathering energy and regrouping energy from freeze, which is important. But really, you can kind of eventually, hopefully, once you've gotten your feet under you a bit, you can get through the blame stage of either yourself or someone else. And you can really actually start to sense that there is this desire that's healthy and biological to establish trusting relationships with other beings, and that trust is actually our birthright, and that also to recognize that if you're still here and you're halfway sane and you're living and breathing and your nervous system is operating, you probably have some degree of that happening, even if it's not happening in your relationships with people. Maybe it's happening in your relationship with nature. Maybe it's happening in your spiritual relationship with the universe or with God. Maybe it's happening in your relationship with your senses, with your sense of stability and trusting in your home or your. There's lots of different things in your life that could kind of fill in for that sense of reliability. And they can have the same patterns of sort of grabbing on or pushing away if you have this distrust or this insecure attachment. This can happen in our relationship with our material possessions and with money, etc., etc. But in the way of healing the nervous system and the growth oriented approach, it's important to start with where you do feel trust. And then, yes, it is going to take courage to stretch that and expand that into new arenas so that you can experience trusting relationships that you can settle into and feel safe in. Um, and it's important that you do it in a discerning way because most likely, when the fact that you have this means that there were some pretty major misattunements in your past and that you're kind of used to experiencing people in the way that is misattuning to you. Again, no need to blame them, and definitely don't blame yourself. We are like plants growing up in different environments, and if we are not in healthy soil, it's really hard to be a healthy plant. And so if you grew up in unhealthy soil, it's not your fault that you are lacking some essential nutrients, to extend the metaphor of the plant. So, my encouragement is for you to be brave and know that you can find new situations, new relationships, new environments that you can practice extending your trust to and starting to feel what it can feel like to actually follow this guideline of reaching in when you tweak out instead of isolating. In other words, asking for support, expanding to receive support from the discernible, trustworthy places in your life. And if you don't feel like you know what those are yet, then start with what you do feel you can rely on and let that guide you further, gently, in a pace by pace way, knowing that even though it's scary, each time that you get a step closer to this, you'll also be able to relax. And a part of your nervous system that has been chronically stressed will get to release and take a big sigh of relief and feel a lot better. So that's it. Reach in when you tweak out. And that includes reaching out to me if you think that anything that I've shared could be supportive to you and you want to actually get some support. You deserve it.